But agriculture, man, agriculture, I'm telling you, in this country, agriculture is a thing. Do you know?
Mm. What's up, guys? Just want to quickly cut in here before the interview starts to set up a little backdrop story. So, if you've been following my vlogs, you know that I've been doing a lot of vlogs for agriculture for the end of the day episodes. So, this one was an interview I had with my cousin, and I started to just make it a separate interview. So, because it went more in detail about more of the entrepreneurial stuff. So, if you're an entrepreneur, business person, whatever, you don't know about the Kenyan African challenges right now, and also some of the solutions and some of the technology you can implement to the market and create a business around. This interview is definitely for you, and I hope you guys enjoy it. The audio is a little bit low on it. I understand that, but I did try to increase the volume and stabilize a little bit more. So just make sure to pump up your volume a little bit, and you should be pretty good to hear it. So I do apologize that ahead of time. Other than that, thanks very much for watching and tuning in, and we'll catch up a little bit towards the end of the video.
That if, you know, think about greenhouses. Have you passed by Naivasha?
We saw some greenhouses though.
Yes, in greenhouses, there's a lot of, most of the tomatoes in this country is grown in greenhouses.
Oh.
Or many people are doing that because they don't want to take the trouble of actually making the soil and all things good, so they just create, a fridge where everything is cold, so everything remains cold, so they some sort of environment like that. But watering, if I could water my plants, like drip irrigation, if I could do that remotely, whenever I want to water my plants, I can check stuff. In fact, there's a company that's installing greenhouses, and they add some technology, value addition on the greenhouse. So it's not just a greenhouse. It can tell you stuff. It can tell you the humidity there. It can tell you some information basically, and that is very important for farmers. I came to find very important, extremely. But those are high-end farmers. But normal farmers, what they really want to know is, do you know in Kenya there's a huge disconnect between a farmer and the buyer. There's something in the middle called the middleman, and that's the richest guy of all these people here. Because he goes to the farmer and says, "No, I'll buy your tomatoes for 10 shillings," and then he comes here and sells each tomato for like 20 shillings.
Oh.
So you buy it for 5 shillings and sell it for 20 shillings, and we buy because we know tomatoes are, oh no, the price has gone up, oh no, okay.
Because even like the one thing I noticed when we're in Kisii, the what is it, avocados?
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're
And because even
falling off trees.
And then because in the U.S. avocados are like they're close to like being kind of a luxury.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because they're so
Avocado?
expensive. They're so expensive. It's like $3.
That's what, 300
for like,
shillings?
and they're like tiny. Like, because the ones here, the ones here are like really, really big.
Yeah.
The ones in America are probably like maybe this size, somewhere around there. Like if you find one that's like that big, like that's Christmas
Take it
for
to the
you.
museum.
That's so that's why I was like.
But in Kenya, that's like 5 shillings.
Mm-hmm.
Avocados are everywhere, man.
Yeah.
We have fruits all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's a place called Nyahururu. When you go there right now, you have mangoes. It's just so many of them.
Oh.
They don't know where to go. Most of them get spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing for agriculture in Kenya, at least the way I know it, is value addition. How can we make those fruits and those, because they're in excess. Especially when it's their season, they're in excess. So much. And they're very cheap here, but when they come elsewhere, they're very expensive. So the farmer doesn't really benefit.
Because the supplier is not there to be able to really add that value.
The middlemen, they trick the farmers to sell them at a very cheap price, because they're the only ones who's buying from them, and then they take it and sell it at a very high price.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so they make so much money, and the farmer struggles. But we're talking about something else. What was it?
As in
some questions?
Yeah, as in the one thing I wanted you to kind of go over is the importance of like how the rain focus is really important. Because I think the way you explained it earlier, I think that's the best way to really capture how much that's the main problem farmers are facing than anything else.
Yeah, the weather in Kenya has changed a lot. Like recently there were floods in Nairobi that has never happened before, ever. So the weather has really changed, but farmers now really depend upon um, knowing what the weather is like so they can be able to plan for their seasons. For instance, you want to harvest when it's dry. You want to plant when it's raining. You want to spray when it's dry. You want to put manure when it's probably raining or dry. I'm not sure about that one. So if you're told it's gonna rain next week and you just get all your seeds and you plant all of them and then it doesn't rain for the next 3 weeks, 1 month, lots of crop is going to fail. And sadly, we don't have that kind of weather forecasting here in Kenya. At least it's not available to most farmers. So they have to look up and like, I hope it rains.
Because even though I was talking to one farmer in Yamagasa, that's what he told me.
Yeah.
It was like, so how do you analyze the weather? Right? At first I asked him like, oh, do you like look at your phone? He was like, oh no, I don't trust that. Our best guess is we look up. It looks cloudy today, so it's probably gonna rain sometime.
Yeah. So a farmer needs to know when to plant, and when to plant depends on the whether it's going to rain. And before it was more reliable to tell that manual way because there's a time when it rains, there's a time when it doesn't.
The seasons.
Yeah, we have but the seasons are totally messed up now for some reason. Maybe global warming.
Global warming, yeah.
But the past 3 years, the weather has changed completely. So when usually you'd plant and you'd hope it will rain, even if it doesn't rain the next day or the next, it's going to rain the next probably 1 week. It doesn't rain. There's desert. It's very dry, and so your crops fail. So a farmer needs to know when the rain is coming, when it's not going to rain, so he probably can be able to spray his plants. Because if you're spraying for a particular disease, if it rains, it just washes the chemicals all the way. And you're like, okay.
And that's expensive for
So imagine if you had 10 acres and you probably sprayed with something, I don't know, this machines, all those liters of chemicals are gone. And you have to do that again. And that is not funny business. Not at all. So think about knowing when it's not going to rain, when it's going to be dry, so you can be able to spray your plants. If you need to find another way of watering your plants, if you need a drip irrigation system, things like that. Very important for farmer. You need to know when it's going to be dry again, so that when you plant, you can know in the next 3 months it will be dry of harvest. If you're harvesting onions, for example, you want to onions need a lot of water, but they also need lots of drought for you to be able to harvest them. Because if they stay too long, if it rains and the whole farm is muddy and all these things, and the onions are also wet, storage will be very, very difficult. Because storage with water, wet onions get spoiled really quickly. And a good onion should stay for probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Others stay for a month if you store them in a dry place. So if you harvest it in a wet season, how dry your onion is going to be? It's going to cost you more because your farmers need to put on gumboots and it's going to be much more murkier and dirtier to harvest. But if it's raining, you cannot harvest. You have to harvest when it's dry. So a farmer needs to know these things. He wants to know if I plant this period, when am I expecting to harvest? What's the weather going to be like? So you can harvest. I remember when we were planting our onions, you cannot plow the land when it has rained. I didn't know that until I went to the tractor guy, like, can we plow? Like, no, it has rained. Why? It's a tractor. I said, it doesn't move. And I witnessed that. I remember it rained. And I was right on the tractor and it was stuck. You cannot plow.
So then even for because the one thing, since you're more doing now more agribusiness, so the first question really, I think you already just answered it. Like how much do the agribusinesses rely on rainfall for their financial planning? So harvesting and also planting,
plowing, land preparation.
So everything, your whole financial planning goes with the weather also.
It's important. It's important. I wouldn't say with because I have so much experience. The little experience I have, and from the knowledge I have of our country and the farmers I know.
So the other question I have is now, let's say like for accurate weather. So let's say for example, the radio station tells you next month is going to be a very rainy season, and then you plan for that month, and then it does not rain at all. Like how much does that impact your farm?
Terribly, because all those seeds are waste, all that labor has been wasted, all that money you spent in labor, in the seeds, and all that time is all gone. The crops will fail. Like, let me give you an example of maize or corn, as you call it in the US. Corn planting depends on when it's going to rain. If it doesn't get the water when it needs the water, it's going to die. So you'll have less corn growing, and also you need some dry season for you to harvest. Because if the corn is mature, and the radio station says it's going to be raining from today, or from next week, or from 1 month from now, I'm like, fine, let me let my maize continue drying up, right? But if it rains, it's messed up everything. It means all your corn is wet. How are you going to store wet corn? How are you going to harvest wet corn? It's going to start rotting earlier than it should. So it needs dryness. It needs a dry period of time. So it's good for a farmer to know when it's not going to rain, so that they can plan for the season. Or if it's going to rain next week, most of the weather forecast, especially in radio stations right now, is only for today and tomorrow. Like this afternoon, it's going to be showers, blah blah blah. No one cares about that really. I don't know who really listens to those that weather forecast, because it's not right. It's not accurate at all. A farmer cannot listen to that. A few farmers try to, but it's too short term. You cannot plan with that.
So those are probably the ones who plan, like, should I go to the shamba today? Especially if they're walking far, see if I'm gonna get rid of. But it's not really gonna majorly, impact their farm and stuff like that.
Yeah, those are too short term. Farmers need long term. They need to know. At least with a certain degree of certainty. You may not be 100% sure. Accurate, but if they can plan and you're accurate more than 70% of the time, you'll save them a lot of losses, I would think.
And the other question I had was like right now, I know some farmers have a lot of farmers who work under them. Like how do they usually manage those farmers? Do they have like a technology they use, or do they just kind of?
Well, do you mean like the people who work on the farm on a daily basis? Or?
So let's say, for example, as an agribusiness owner, you own a plot of land, then you have like an X number of farmers who work there. Like how would you go, managing?
What do you mean farmers who work there? Because mostly, let me try to explain to you. If I'm a farmer, I have my own land. I am the farmer. Okay. The other ones are what we call watomikono. People who just do manual labor, this and that. You dig here, dig there, dig do this, do that, do the other thing. So unless I am a farmer, I have my own land, and then I get another farmer to manage my land, maybe something like that. But there is no really, the technical expertise is not always a requirement for manual laborers. Because as long as they know how to dig and how to harvest and how to weed, they just receive all the instructions from me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's really not another farmer to manage. So how they've managed that, how they get these people is, it's not too difficult. They themselves just come. Many people, they want jobs, so they can come and work.
So then do you think then, will it be easier for you, let's say for example, if you owned like land at different areas, maybe you're expanding your farm or something like that, you had a platform where you're able to, you're able to kind of connect with the farmers via SMS. You're able to see on your own computer or phone, you're able to see a platform where it's able to tell you like X farmer is doing this well, they're bringing this much yield, or maybe like this X farmer needs to like change their watering season or watering, or maybe they need to harvest a little bit later. Like with that, do you think that will be able to help you as an agribusiness owner?
Well, what you're saying would not be relevant at all. But let me tell you how it would be relevant in this way. Most farmers don't own very big tracts of land, and they grow stuff. but they want to sell the stuff. But remember, the people who buy this, they want to buy in bulk. So unless you're selling 5 tons of onions, why should I come all the way from Nairobi to come and take your 1 ton? It's a waste of my money. But if this guy could know, this is actually what happens. Most farmers, they come and they get their different plots of land and they all agree, let's do onions. And so it all comes to 5 tons, and then the guy comes and picks all the onions and then goes.
They all divide.
Yes, so they divide the money, so it becomes profitable for them, because I cannot own 10 acres, I only have 1 acre, you have 1 acre, we're 10 of us, it's 10 acres, let's plant onions. So for the guy who's coming with a trailer to pick the onions, it'd be very good for them to know where these farmers are, and sometimes it takes a while for the farmers to organize themselves to do that. And most farmers are not even aware they can do that, otherwise they'd be making more than they are.
So then if farmers had like a way for them to kind of know an area, like, hey, there's an X number of farmers who live around me, and they can be able to kind of all, create kind of like a little community. They'll be able to even make more profit than they normally do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So if farmers could find a way to do that, and also, I don't know for what reason, but I think it will also be very good to know where these things are growing. In Kenya, we don't really have a very elaborate, what's it called? How you know where the product came from and how it grew and all those things. It's called what? I forget. I forget. But for those people who are interested in products, if they knew that I can get X number of onion farmers in a particular place, that'd be good for them, because they're looking for these things. They're looking for the products. So as when the farmer makes a community, farmers are a community, then why are they a community? So that someone else can be able to come and get the product or produce from them. Yeah. And there are several people who are trying to help farmers in this way. There's something called M-Farm.
Yeah.
You know M-Farm?
Yeah, I know M-Farm.
There's another one, I forget what it's called. But they try to at least connect farmers to
the suppliers.
So they can cut off the middlemen who are really making it really expensive. And I don't know how M-Farm is doing really, but I think maybe they've done okay. The only problem is the practicality of it all. Most farmers have, maybe high-end farmers have smartphones, and that means they have other connections and other problems. But most farmers in Kenya do not have a smartphone. They have a, what do you call it? What phone? A phone that is not smart.
A dumb phone.
A dumb phone. Yeah. They have a dumb phone, and that phone is very important to them, because that's how that phone lasts longer than a smartphone in terms of battery power, and most of them are just old, therefore they just cannot figure out how to use a smartphone. And that's it. I know a particular company we were just negotiating a contract with their coffee farmers association thing, and they had over 10,000 farmers, and they had something called trainers. They try to pass information to farmers, because the farmers, they're very way on the ground. So how do you tell them there's a new disease?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. So they have trainers. So
they send those trainers up.
Yeah, they send those trainers to the site, and there are farmers who have representatives. So it's like a hierarchy. So the information comes all the way down, but that takes a while. So they're engaging me on a way of being able to get this information really quickly to all of them through SMS. And also information. Farmers need information. Information on diseases, on ways to deal with diseases. They need information on the pesticides they should use, they need all these things. How to deal with their crop. So this coffee farmers association thing came together, and they're helping coffee farmers. They made a booklet that have all the information. But how can they get it to the farmer on demand? Because static data has no use at all. You have all that information in pages.
But it needs to be able. So
Yes.
so that's one of the things we're looking at is how, like, let's say for example, like if you're an agribusiness owner or the one organization you're talking about, they do have access to a computer and internet.
Yeah.
And if they had a platform where they had all their farmers registered on there, and then they're able to send out messages to all those farmers via SMS to them directly. So it kind of leads on to my next question is then, do you think those organizations, since they're already paying trainers, they're paying maybe farmer representatives also to do that, do you think they'll be more willing to maybe pay like 800 shillings for each farmer they have to be covered in a system where they're getting rain focus, they're getting information on diseases, or even when to harvest and increase their yield? Do you think they'll be willing to license for their farmers under that?
Well, first of all, they engaged me on getting such a thing, and they're interested in getting that information to farmers, and just the information they have first is a starting point, because there's a lot you can do with technology, and of course, as that works, then they'll get much more open to trying other things. The only problem I had, I think I already mentioned to you, was money. I don't know why Kenyans don't like to pay. We don't like to pay. We don't like to pay.
So, but like, let's say for example, if those companies are able to be shown that, hey, if you use this platform, it will increase your yield, in turn increase your profits, and cut back on those trainers you're sending around. Like if you're able to show them like exactly like this.
I think maybe they'll be more willing, but I do know they need that.
They need that, but they don't want to.
I don't know why they don't want to pay. But if the value can be shown to them, like personally, in the way we're engaging them, I told them, okay, what you want to pay is peanuts, but for the value that it will give to you, I'm willing to try this out. If you have another contract, say that this is going to be a trial for this X period of time, see how it works, and I'm sure as they see the value, then they start to pay.
Thank you very much for watching that interview. I know it got cut off. Actually, what ended up happening is we ended up talking for like 20 minutes more, but the camera just ended up dying and the battery died, so I didn't even blink, showing that the video roll was done, the space on the camera. So I do apologize for that, but I hope the 20 minutes in the interview did help you. You can always comment in the section below and ask any kind of questions you might have, and I'll be very open to answer them. Message me on Facebook, whatever it might be. As in, other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.